Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gooey's Dungeon Dive, the podcast where I, Gooey, rank every dungeon in The Legend of Zelda, and it's the calm before the storm as we delve into Gerudo Training Ground. At first, I was hesitant on covering this one. Not only is it a mini dungeon, but it also doesn't really have a map, a compass, a boss, stuff that defines traditional Zelda dungeons. But after playing it, I thought that it was fun and interesting enough to talk about for a second. The dungeon itself is all about you just travel from room to room and complete various challenges separated in each room to obtain keys, which are used to travel through a maze of locked doors, and you get a nice little final reward in the ice arrows. Some of the challenges include there's combat, puzzling, and platforming in various combinations, and honestly, I found them to be quite fun. It's just a nice little bonus challenge. There's some non-linearity in how you pick up the keys and spend them, and some of the rooms link up in slightly interesting ways. It's neat, it's novel. Certainly it's not as exciting as a full-blown dungeon, but it's definitely a great bonus, much like the color dungeon. I also like there are a few items that this could be completed with or without, and depending on when you come to the dungeon and how lucky you are with the key usage, you could complete this earlier in the game and use the ice arrows earlier, especially if you know what you're doing. But of course, even if you don't, all the keys can be found after completing all of the dungeons. So, you know, there's not much more to really talk about here. That's the main idea. I could talk about each challenge, but, you know, it's a little bit of fighting, some timed challenges. It's good stuff. And it makes it easy to. It's still pretty easy to rank. It's going to be pretty low because it's not a full dungeon experience. But honestly, I'd put it. I don't know. I'll put it. It's not at the bottom, and I think that's what matters. It'll be low though. We'll keep it low. You know, maybe even just above Parappa Palace. I think it's just worth it to give it some props that it's like it got on the radar. I had a lot of fun playing it, but really what I'm using this episode for, we're gonna do a little bit of housekeeping here before we get into the big finale next week, and we're gonna lay the groundwork for what's to come, I guess. So first of all, if you're looking at the list, I now should have a link in the description of the actual spreadsheet that you can go and look at, because it's getting quite large for the video. So yeah, there's that if you want to get a closer look. I'll still obviously zoom in on the videos. Second of all, link to the Discord in there, so please go join that if you want to talk more about the videos. We've had some fun in the Discord. Thirdly, as I'm recording this, I have like almost 270 subscribers. Once again, if we get to 300, I'll probably do another bonus video, maybe ranking some more bosses or something from Zelda 2, something like that. I'll do another kind of informal, light, ranking like that, which I think will be pretty fun. And I wanted to lay down how I think the next season is gonna go, because with Ocarina of Time, doing the videos has been pretty challenging to keep up with because I decided to use the footage because I thought that would be a nice touch, but it makes it a little bit harder than just like, here, I'll throw this image up for a while and just talk and don't really have to worry about what's playing. So with the next season, which Majora's Mask is coming, I'm still going to be releasing them weekly, but I think the gap of time between this season and the next one is going to be a little bit longer. For this one, I just said I'll do 2 weeks and then get back on it to kind of keep myself in line, but it's been really hard with like work and life balancing to keep up with this. It's really been in my spare time. I've really had to force myself to do a lot of this, and I don't want to get burnt out. So it's just going to be a longer gap to get to Majora's Mask. Not too much longer because there's not as many dungeons. But then they will be coming out weekly, kind of like a season of a traditional TV show or something like that. So please sit tight. Of course, we've got the big finale coming next week, but sit tight after that. If we get to 300, of course, I'll do the bonus. But the big finale of this video is I am going to be auditing this list. There's a few changes I wanted to make before we get into the final video with Corey next week. So I got my list up here, and first of all, top 3 is solid. I'm sticking with that. But what I was thinking here is, first of all, I'm going to take a look at the top 5 and see what's sitting outside of the top 5 that needs to be in there. And the very obvious thing to me is the Forest Temple. I know I put it right below Misery Mire, but I'm thinking at least going into the final video, that Forest Temple has got to still be in the top 5. So I am going to bump that up 1. Now the top 10 I feel pretty solid about. I'm feeling like I could actually, here's what I want to do. I want to get Key Cavern back in because I'm personal fan of it. But I don't want to move down Spirit or Skull Woods, and so here I might make a drastic move actually, and move Palace of Darkness, and just slide it right down to the number 11 spot. I know that some people might be against that. I really liked the exploration of it. I still really do. I think it's a great dungeon. But I just really felt like that those needed to sit in the top 10 a little bit more. But Palace of Darkness, still a very strong dungeon. All right, here's another thing we need to take care of. With the Face Shrine was one that I've kind of cooled off on, and I wanted to bump it down just a little bit, but not much. I think I wanted to get Hyrule Castle actually into the top 15, and yeah, Face Shrine has really, I've kind of cooled on that. Big and sprawling, but I realize some of the navigation is annoying. It's not one of the best in Link's Awakening, so I'm actually going to bump it down 2 spots to get Hyrule Castle up in there. It's a pretty good dungeon all around. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Nothing else I really want to pop into the top 15. There's nothing from like 21 to 25 that I really feel strongly necessarily about moving. 30 is looking good. Here, a lot of these I'm kind of okay with, and I already moved a lot of this lower stuff around, so we'll probably keep it. Well, you know what? I feel a little bit bad on how I treated the Shadow Temple. I was just very disappointed with it, coming off of one of my favorite dungeons. I think the other more linear dungeons in Ocarina of Time are a lot better, but I think I'll be a little forgiving with Shadow Temple because I think the set pieces are actually pretty neat and pretty cool, and I was started to think about how the top level of it looks more like a tomb, and they're talking about the secret of the Hyrule royal family, and then I like that it's cool you get the boots right away, and then from there it's like a descent deeper in like learning more about the various types of like torture that are going on down below. So it's kind of neat in that regard. So I'll definitely bump it up. Right now, I can justify getting it in the top 40. I think I'll put it right below 3i Rock Palace. Yeah, that feels pretty right to me. Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to bring too much shade to it. I was just a little disappointed. Okay, with that, I think we're situated pretty well to get into the final video. So thanks. Yeah, glad I could get some of the messaging out of the way before we get to that, refix up the list, and then I'm excited for this finale where we talk about the end of Ocarina of Time. So see you next week.